Welcome back to the Rise with Anita Podcast, or welcome if you're new here. I am trusting you are in the right space. This is where ambition meets embodiment, where soul meets strategy, and lately we've been talking all things regulation, about safety. And today we are going to be talking about standards, because once your nervous system stabilizes, your life begins to ask for more of you. And I don't mean hustle, but more alignment. So before we dive in, just take a breath with me. Place your feet on the ground. Place a hand on your heart. Close your eyes. And slowly inhale through the nose. Hold for 4. And exhale for 6. Allow yourself to be here. Unclench your jaw if you're already feeling it. And just feel the energy of that calm. So here's the thing. There comes a point while you're in this growth journey where you realize the woman, and I have a handful of men listening, or man, you're becoming cannot keep operating from the old identity and the old version of yourself. And it comes up very subtly. It shows up when you're in a conversation and you realize you've outgrown it. Feeling a little bit irritable about dynamics that you once tolerated because it's no longer aligned with what you are becoming. Having the desire to not explain yourself anymore and over-explain. Feeling drained by things that used to feel normal but are no longer a fit for you. And this isn't ego. It's just evolution. So let's clarify something. Standards are not pressure. Pressure says, do more, you're not enough. Right? Standards say, this is not what I'm tolerating. It's no longer acceptable. We're no longer operating from fear. We're operating from self-respect, and there's a different energy in that. So when your nervous system becomes more regulated, you actually feel a difference. You feel more calm, more steady. And there's a truth that becomes uncomfortable but freeing. What you tolerate is what you're reinforcing. So if you tolerate half commitment, inconsistent communication, saying yes if you actually mean no, you're teaching your body that shrinking your energy is normal and that you're okay with it. But when you begin to raise an internal standard, not from a place of being harsh, but becoming clear, that clarity is regulating. And this could be the hardest part of it, is communicating clearly the new standards. But before we dive a little more in, I want to pause and have you think about an area of your life currently where you know you've outgrown something, whether that's a dynamic, a job, a relationship. And I want you to pay attention. What's going on in your body? Do you feel expanded? Do you feel tight? Do you feel contraction? Is there heat? Are you cold? Are you getting lobster claws? Is there a sense of relief at all? Because your body will already know. And it's usually right before your mind catches up. So here's what's happening. Your identity is starting to upgrade. And that upgraded identity requires upgraded standards. So, the woman you're becoming no longer over-explains. She does not chase for clarity. She doesn't beg to be understood. She doesn't negotiate with her values. If something's not aligned, she walks away from it. And this isn't because she's being rigid. It's because she's regulated. And when you're dysregulated, you tolerate the chaos. When you're dysregulated, you chase. But when you're in a state where you're actually regulated, you become the person who's now looking for coherence, congruency in how life feels and gets to show up for you. So here's the thing where it might poke. Raising your standards can also feel like a loss because you might lose the relationships that tolerated an old version of you. You may have to change your habits. You may have to shift out of old patterns, certain versions of yourself. And your nervous system equates any type of loss with danger, like you're being chased by a saber-toothed tiger. So it'll whisper, maybe this is a little too much. Maybe this is fine. We've already learned to accept this. Don't rock the boat. Don't poke the bear. But the danger is staying sane. There's a deeper voice inside of you. The one that is leading you from alignment that will say this no longer fits. And growth often sounds more quiet than it does loud. But you'll feel a steadiness with it. So I just want to remind you guys, I think I've mentioned this in a couple of the other episodes recently, but you don't need to make a massive change. You're not going to go and overhaul your life overnight. This does not look like ending all relationships that are maybe a little misaligned right off the bat. Now, if you have a certain relationship that you do need to release because it's no longer serving you, that's a different conversation. But we want you to start small because here's the aspect that most people miss. When you are creating change, it's easy to go back from freeze mode where you're in this like toleration energy to, okay, now I'm going to fight or I'm going to flee. And that doesn't help. You're going from one reaction to the other. So just start small. Incorporate one standard at a time. Maybe that's one standard in every couple of days, a week. Give yourself time to build up to it. You don't need to go full heavy tilt into this. It can be a process. So maybe it looks like I'm not immediately responding, even if it feels pressured. I no longer speak about myself in a self-deprecating manner. I don't commit if I feel the energy of contraction. And here's one thing I want to notate. When you are in a season of expansion, even if you feel resistance, a lot of times the energy still feels expansive. If it feels contractive in any way, I would get curious about that. Because contraction may also signal misalignment. I don't stay in conversations that drain me. I don't follow people who drain my energy. Be simple. Be present. Stay regulated. Honor your new standards. And your identity will start to stabilize with it. So this is actually leadership. Not in business, but in your life. The woman you're becoming isn't necessarily louder. She has more of a steady energy to her. She doesn't force the change. She embodies it. And then she adjusts accordingly. Because here's the thing. Growth isn't always loud. Sometimes the best way to show people who you're becoming is to be present with the person you already are. To give her grace, to give her love, to give her compassion. Because you cannot lead anyone else if you're not leading yourself. So before we close out together, I want you to go ahead and just take a moment again to be grounded, be still, soften that jaw, inhale steadily, and take a long exhale, and just gently remind yourself, I trust the woman I am becoming. I trust the woman I'm uncovering. Because you don't need to prove your evolution to anyone. You need to honor her. And you need to have it be for you. And your standards are naturally going to rise from that energy. So I'll see you in the next episode. I hope you guys are enjoying what the podcast is turning into. And happy Tuesday. Bye, guys.